Join me today to talk about Pete Hegseth is under the fire again. Trump's agenda, why isn't it getting passed through Congress? And why do they keep sitting on their hands? Kristi Noem, she just lost $3,000 in cash. The Pope just passed away. And is Trump really playing 4D chess? Because it doesn't look like he really was prepared for all these lower court federal district judges stopping his agenda. Even the Supreme Court is losing it. Stick around. You just might learn something. Welcome to the Eric T. Conversation. I'm Eric T. Well, on the 20th of April, Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem had her purse stolen while dining at Capitol Burger in downtown Washington, D.C. The bag contained approximately $3,000 in cash, her driver's license, her passport, her DHS access badge, blank checks, medication, apartment keys, credit cards, and makeup. A DHS spokesperson stated that the cash was intended for family dinner, activities, and Easter gifts as Noem's children and grandchildren were in town. Okay, security camera footage showed a white male wearing a medical mask stealing the purse by sliding it toward himself with his foot leaving the restaurant. The Secret Service, which provides security for Secretary Noem, has been investigating the theft and is currently under investigation. My question is, if she has Secret Service protection, how the hell can somebody steal the purse of the Secretary of Homeland Security? How is that possible? This is like the bad news bears with this Trump administration. We're going to talk about Pete Hegseth in a minute, but this is like a joke. But nobody cared about her credentials getting stolen or anything else. The only thing the media is talking about is $3,000 of cash that was in her purse. Like, why does she have $3,000 in cash? A lot of people carry $3,000 in cash. Yes, a lot of people. Maybe not the people you know, but I have met people that carry $1,500 to $2,000 in their pocket at all times. Some people like to use cash for everything. They're cash people. They don't like using credit cards. They don't like using their debit cards because, believe it or not, debit cards can get hacked. Has you ever gotten your debit card hacked at the gas station? That's happened to me once. Happened to my friends in my neighborhood. Happened to my mother. Debit cards get hacked all the time. So why not just have some cash? But everybody's all up in arms that this woman had $3,000 in cash on her. Listen, Kristi Noem is not us, people. She's not us. She was a former governor. Okay, she's the Secretary of Homeland Security. The lady's got some money, and she had $3,000 in cash on her for doing some Easter things, buying some gifts and things like that. Some people just don't want the man seeing what they make on purchases. That's the thing. People actually do that. But nobody cared about her credentials. They only cared about the cash. Like they only cared about her watch that she wore when she went to El Salvador. Give the lady a break, guys. This is insane. Now, I already hammered her with her hairdo and doing the cosplay when she's in front of with the ICE agents and she's pretending to be an ICE agent herself, which is kind of ridiculous. But other than that ding that I give her, she's doing a pretty good job. Let's leave the lady alone. But I have more questions about the Secret Service that somebody can go and steal somebody's purse. And honestly, you're the Department of Homeland Security and you can't even secure your own purse. I mean, it's laughable, but it's not laughable. It's like serious, but like it's still funny that the Secretary of Homeland Security gets her purse stolen while it's literally sitting in front of her at a restaurant, at a burger joint, for God's sakes. Now, Pete Hegseth is in the news again. He's facing significant scrutiny as a defense secretary due to allegations that he shared sensitive, yet again, military information in 2 signal chat groups, one of which included his wife, his brother, and his personal lawyer. The information reportedly about the U.S. airstrikes on the Houthi rebels in Yemen was sent via his personal cell phone and came across a secure system used by top generals. Hegseth denies the information was classified, but the incident has sparked calls for him to resign. Now, a lot of Democrats, obviously, they're all going for him to resign, like Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer, and even one of the Republican House Representatives, Don Bacon. The White House and Trump are standing by him, with the press secretary, Carolyn Leavitt, calling reports of a search for his replacement fake news. Hegseth has blamed his former aides, 3 individuals on his staff that had been let go, that are obviously disgruntled and coming up with these crazy allegations. But here's the thing. Pete Hegseth is doing a great job. He really is. I'm kind of over his warfighter thing. He says the word warfighter every other word out of his mouth. He's kind of a dork with that. Like, let's call them troops, man. Because not everybody that's in the military is a freaking warfighter. I know that's what their mission is, but there are combat arms people, and then there are support people. And I know military, they're all supposed to be warfighters, but they're not all warfighters, dude. Just say the word troops. You sound like an idiot when you constantly say it. You sound like a nerd that's trying to sound tough. And it just doesn't, to me, it sounds so fake. Just say the troops, man. Just say the troops. But what he's doing is our recruiting has increased 15% over the last couple of months. It is the highest amount of recruits into the military that we've had in decades. Why? Because people are tired of the way the military has been portrayed. People are tired with DEI. People are tired with the trans stuff in the military. That's not what the military is for. And I got news for all those people out there that didn't serve in the military. The military is not a civilian job. It's a lot different. You got to follow orders. You got to do what you're told, or there's consequences by not following orders on the oath that you take when you join. Everybody takes it. The military needs a significant overhaul over the last probably 15 to 20 years. The mission has gotten skewed a great deal, and people just weren't joining. It was last year, they missed their mark by 20%. It's done a 180-degree turn with it, okay? People are going to have to start shaving their beards off now, okay? I don't know when the whole thing of everybody getting a shaving profile was cool, but there's regulations on how the thickness you're supposed to have your beard. You certainly can't have a beard as thick as mine, and I've seen guys at the barbershop in their uniform with beards that look like Santa Claus, all nice and trimmed, dyed black, all cut up under their neck. That's not a shaving profile. That's abusing the system. Now we're bringing all the standards back, the high standards that the military had. Because honestly, look, people join the military for 3 reasons. This is my opinion. 3 reasons why they join. And everybody in my family joined, I think, for those reasons. My father joined the United States Air Force in 1962 because he wanted to go to college. He didn't have any money. So my father decided to join the Air Force to help them pay for his college. And while he was in active duty, he got accepted to the Airman Enlistment Program, wound up going to a university and became an electrical engineer. And eventually my father became a pilot for the United States Air Force and did 20 years. My brother joined the Army because he was about 21, 22 years old. He had nothing going on. He wasn't really going to college. He really didn't have a good career going on. He didn't have any kind of trade. So my brother had really nothing going on. So he decided to join the Army because he had nothing else to do. And when I joined the Army, I joined for patriotism. Okay, I went to school already. I had my education, was already paid for. I already took care of that. And I had a career. So when I decided to join the military, I joined because of patriotism to this country. So I joined several months before 9/11 even happened. So it wasn't even about that. It was just something I felt like I really needed to do personally because of how much I love the United States of America. So I believe people join for those 3 reasons. There may be some other reasons, but for the most part, I think people join for patriotism because they want to get their college education paid for, and they got nothing else going on. And when I was in basic training, there was a lot of guys that had nothing else going on. So I believe that the way Pete Hegseth is starting to develop and get the camaraderie, the esprit de corps, the passion, the patriotism, and the benefits that the military offers to individuals in the United States of America, that's becoming prevalent. And people are joining that again. I've got a brother-in-law just got out of the military, 24 years, and he was over it. He was over it. He was over the DEI, and every time he went into his unit, that's all they did, briefing on DEI, on trans in the military. He said it was a constant presentation, a constant counseling on all those things that the military was starting to target and look forward instead of doing what their mission was, to fight. period. That's the military's job. The military is to fight, protect the United States, our interests throughout the world, and protect our sovereign nation as well. But that's what the mission is supposed to be. It's not supposed to be DEI and fairness and equality, because the military is not equality. It's just not. It's not a democracy either. It's the fucking military. And people join for a specific group of reasons. And unfortunately, the way the last administration was turning our military into, nobody wanted to join anymore. They weren't joining. And if people don't join the military, we have a weak military. And when we have a weak military, other countries will target us. That's a fact. So Pete Hegseth, the reason why they don't like him and they're doing everything they can to get rid of the guy is because he's doing all the things to create our military to be a strong fighting force. That's what he said he wanted to do because that's what Trump tasked him to do. He's not going anywhere. Trump is not going to fire or get rid of anybody on his staff unless you actually lose respect for Trump or you disrespect him or you talk bad about him. Other than that, he learned his lesson from the last administration that he was in, that if you get rid of these people because you kowtow to the loudest speaking people that are going after these individuals, doesn't matter. You can replace them. They're going to go after that person too. So might as well leave the person that you selected, the person that you vetted over the last 4 years to do that job. So Pete Hegseth isn't going anywhere. And if you don't think it's kind of strange that as soon as these 3 individuals get canned from his department, more signal chat stuff goes up there. Come on. I'm not a big fan of his warfighter thing that he says all the time, but he's not a moron. The guy went to Harvard. Yeah, he's a smart, intelligent individual. He was a major in the United States Army as an infantryman. So he's not a moron. He's a smart dude. Nobody's going to make those mistakes over and over again. You got to be a complete imbecile. And I don't think Pete Hegseth is. I mean, hell, he was a Fox News host for a while. You don't get those kind of jobs by being a moron. So Pete Hegseth isn't going anywhere. I think he's doing a great job. But chill out with the warfighter shit, man. It's like getting kind of old. It sounds stupid, especially coming out of your mouth. It sounds stupid. And on a Catholic note, I'm Catholic, so, I guess it affects me somewhat. But Pope Francis passed away on Easter Sunday or the day after Easter Sunday, after J.D. Vance had just met with him in the Vatican, which is, I know, now J.D. Vance is getting all the flack, like he took out the Pope or something. Didn't happen. The Pope had pneumonia. He was really ill, and he just, it was time for him to go. And all those that are like really mourning the guy was a huge liberal. Let's be really honest. As a Catholic, I can't be honest. I'm not too upset about it. I think he was a bad pope. I mean, the guy had a good heart. All those guys have good hearts. They love everybody. But he was really sympathetic toward the immigration that was coming to the United States, about the DEI. He was really, really more political about all that stuff than just basic promoting the Catholic religion and love and peace throughout man. He wasn't that guy. So hopefully they'll get a pope this time that is more neutral and just worries about the Catholic Church and become that individual that really loses his passion for his religion and for everybody. And really, I think the new pope that we get should be somebody that is really neutral as far as policy is concerned with different countries. I get it. You want to love everybody. Everybody's welcome. But you got to use your head a little bit, Pope. And you can't just say, just let all the illegal immigrants flood a country, because that's not how it works. It destroys the infrastructure of a country, and it creates higher taxes. It creates a shortage of money, and it loses a lot of resources for those particular countries. I hope next time we get a pope, and hopefully after the enclave does their little thing and the black and the white smoke go up and we get a new pope, hopefully they get somebody that is really like a John Paul. He was really neutral with a lot of those things from what I can remember, and not somebody that was so politicizing one agenda or the other. And today, the FDA Commissioner Marty Makary announces the FDA is removing petroleum-based food dyes from U.S. foods and medication. So today, the FDA is making a huge change in the artificial flavoring that we're getting into our foods. And that's what they promised us, right? A lot of these food dyes and petroleum-based products cause children to be on hyperactive medication. And it's caused a lot of problems for our children that were diagnosed with different types of illnesses, that they're starting to relate to some of these products and these chemicals that are in our foods. There's nothing wrong with natural, right? Artificial flavoring, came around because, there was a shortage of different types of flavors out there or something. Who knows? But I think getting rid of the artificial flavors, sweeteners, petroleum-based type products that we are consuming to our bodies is probably a good step in the right direction, because our society is extremely ill and in poor health than it ever has been in probably the past 50 years. You look at some of these photos from the 1950s, 1940s, you didn't see fat, obese people everywhere. 70% of the United States is obese, is overweight, very unhealthy. Yeah, you see all these influencers, on TikTok and on Instagram and all these fitness influencers, they all look in good shape. But that's like 1% of the population. Everybody else is fat. Nobody else works out. Everybody else eats all this garbage all the time. And artificial flavors and sweeteners are destroying our health. So the FDA is making some changes. And I think RFK Jr. is doing a good job at heading that up as well. And on a really kind of a serious note, I'm really getting tired of Congress not acting on Trump's executive orders. And the reason why I say that is they've been off about 85 days. Out of about 100 days, they're not doing their job. Now, I said it before on my other podcast that Trump can do all the executive orders he wants. But unless Congress acts and does what he asked them to do via executive order and make them a law, it's all for nothing. Because what's going to happen in about a year and a half from now, the midterms are starting, and all of those congressmen, those senators that are on the Republican side, they're going to start telling you, oh, you got to vote for me again so we can really push forth, Trump's agenda. I support Trump 100%. You got to vote for me, because if you don't vote for me, we're not going to be able to get Trump's agenda pushed through. They can do all that stuff right now, but they're not doing it. They're not doing it. And you don't hear Trump really saying a lot about that. And that's the disappointing thing that I got about Trump. I really like everything that he's doing so far. But what I don't like is he's not calling out Congress. He's not calling them out enough. You got Speaker Johnson gets up there every other day, and he's just coming up with more bullshit, more excuses, why they haven't done anything, blaming nobody's doing jack. They're not voting on anything. They have the majority in the House. They have majority in the Senate. The only problem with the Senate is they got to really tap dance around, because you need 60% in the Senate to get anything passed, right? But they can do it. They can do it if they learn how to negotiate. Trump is doing all the stuff with the tariffs. He's getting that stuff done. We've got 35 countries right now that are really at the table with them right now, negotiating trade deals. 35 countries that are sitting down with them right now, negotiating trade deals with the United States, because the tariff thing worked. But Congress isn't enacting shit. They're not doing anything. They're just going on vacation, taking breaks, leaving for 2 weeks. Easter was here. There's always an excuse. So I keep telling everybody, you got to call your congressman. You got to call them. You got to call them over and over and over again. Be relentless, because if you don't do it, they're not going to do their job. And when the midterms come around, what's going to happen? They're going to be saying all the same crap they said before. Oh, you got to vote for me so we can get Trump's agenda through. They can do it right now, but they're not doing it. You know why? Because they're all bought and paid for. Every single one of them. Every one of them. Either they're bought and paid for, or they got something on them. And they got to do what they're told to do, vote how they're supposed to vote, or they're going to be exposed. There's no other explanation than that. Because if you're really going to do and you support Trump's agenda, you should be doing everything you possibly could be doing to get it passed. But you're not doing it, because they're all cowards, every single one of them. Even those chicks, Nancy Mace, you've got, Marjorie Taylor Greene, all these, but Bobbert, all of them. They're all loud. They say a lot of bullshit. They put the MAGA hats on. They're rah, rah, rah. But it really comes down to it, nothing gets done. They like sound bites. They like their videos to go viral, so they can tell their constituents that they're actually doing something when they're actually not doing jack shit. So call your congressperson and let them know that you're getting tired of them sitting around on their hands and not doing anything to help push Trump's agenda through. Because In 4 years, or actually, shit, in 2 years, when Congress flips, and it's going to flip, it always flips. It's going to be, the Democrats are going to be charged because the Republicans aren't doing anything. They're going to get flipped. And what's going to happen? It's going to be the same BS we dealt with when Trump was in office last time. They're going to be impeaching him. They're going to stop him at every turn. And you know what? Trump should have figured some of this shit out already. You know that? I mean, he's playing, I get tired of the whole, he's playing 4D chess. He's not playing 4D chess, because if he was really that smart, okay, and playing 4D chess, four steps ahead of everybody else, he should have realized that when he started pushing his agenda and signing executive orders like they're buy one, get ones, that he should have known that the Democrats are going to be using these lower court federal district judges to stop his agenda. And they're doing it. Time and time again, they're stopping everything he's doing. Everything. Now, they're getting to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court isn't even a slam dunk anymore. I mean, it's not. So if Trump was so far ahead of everybody in the game, he should have known this is what they were going to do. And he should have had a better answer to the whole lower court federal district judges. Now, they're going to be going and presenting it in May to the Supreme Court if these lower court judges can dictate policy from, take away the policy agendas of a president. So we're going to find out if that passes. But I'm a little worried. Amy Coney Barrett, she scares the shit out of me now. Because let me tell you something. When I saw the picture of her family, if you didn't realize by that family photo with her adopted children that lady was a bleeding heart, then you're a fool. Trump got hoodwinked. He got hoodwinked by McConnell that told him that she was a real hard conservative, because she is not. Clearly by her family photos, you can tell that woman is a bleeding heart leftist. And she's proven it time and time again with how she's voted on the Supreme Court. So Trump's agenda is not going to get passed because our Congress is sitting on their hands, and Trump wasn't paying enough attention to know that they were going to do this to him at every single turn and thwart his executive orders. And then you got Kash Patel. You got the Epstein list. I mean, Kash Patel spent 2 years going on every single freaking podcast, complaining, saying all the wonderful things he was going to do when he got if he became director of the FBI. Well, you know what? Guess what? He became the director of the FBI. We don't hear shit from that guy. Nothing. No one's arrested. Not one person has been arrested anywhere. There should be some high-powered individuals that are getting arrested. Now, I defended it about a month and a half ago, saying that it's going to take a little time. These people are high up there. It's going to take serious investigations. But they already had this information. I read the whole book that Kash Patel wrote. He already had all the evidence. He had all the proof he needed to get after Senator Adam Schiff. Has he been arrested yet? No, he hasn't. Why hasn't he been arrested? Because they're not doing shit. They all talk the big game so they can get on the podcast and get everybody rah, and everybody supporting them and watching everything they do and getting followers on TikTok, getting followers on Instagram, getting people to watch their podcast. That's all they did it for. That's it. That's what it looks like to me. That's all they did it for. They weren't serious about it. He wasn't serious about shutting down the FBI headquarters. He wasn't serious about sending out his agents in different parts of the country to get him out of D.C. That hasn't happened yet. And all the investigations that he supposedly knew all the answers to, no one's been arrested. You know, I'm starting to lose little patience with the Trump administration and things that they're supposed to be doing. They're supposed to be so smart, 4 steps ahead of everybody. And yet, it's silence. Trump, start hammering Congress because they're not doing their job. Start going after your staff because they're not coming out and telling the American people, the people who they are arresting. We want to know who's getting arrested. We don't want to see you on Fox News and on Newsmax doing sound bites. We want arrest warrants for these criminals that you've talked about for the past 4 years. You got to do something. We're starting to lose our patience. And that's your problem because all of you came really hard with all these answers when you were on TV and on the radio and on social media talking all this bull crap. And then when it really came down to it, nothing. Zip, zero, zilch. Anyway, that's my conversation of the day. Join me next time for a little chit chat, some observation, and some good old fashioned conversation. Thanks.